There we go.
There we are. Hi guys. Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Just Look at It.
Yup.
Yes, you were just in a really awesome podcast, and that's why we're starting late today.
Right.
Normally
So sorry about that, y'all.
earlier.
We booked it before we scheduled this show.
Yeah.
And so welcome to the show at 9:30 today. And I am just so excited because you know what? Life is full of every kind of wobble in surviving this crazy pandemic and the world that we're living in all the way around. And it is so different. Are you going to do an intro for us?
Why not?
I would love that. Hi.
When the world's... Oh, wow, I got to tune my voice here. I haven't sang one lick today.
Oh, no.
I don't normally sing in licks.
Are you going to do your whoop, 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 whoop,
When the-
whoop, 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 whoop? That's how he warms his voice up.
Ooh, yeah. Gag, 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 gag,
See, there it
gag,
is.
gag, gag, gag.
That's the warming of the vocals.
When the world's going crazy and you don't know what to do, just look at it. Said when the world's going crazy and you don't know what to do, just look at it. Just look at it.
I love it when you go crazy. Like
Right.
you know what? The world is going crazy, but we don't have to.
You don't have to go
And
crazy.
that's the beauty of life is that
We're humans. We adapt.
right. And you can ebb and flow and bend and flex and do whatever the heck you want as long as you're taking care of yourself and your
Right?
responsibilities. And that is the fun and joy of life.
Right?
So
there's all of these different opportunities that open up when economies change. Like, you know, restaurants have entirely changed. The service industry has entirely changed.
events, hospitality.
Everything is entirely changed. But the cool part is there's loopholes. And so Jess opened up my mind this morning to these loopholes, and I'm going, she's like, you know, we could really just like travel. We don't have to stay somewhere very long because everything we do, as long as we show up to our planned masterminds and our client meetings and really just like kind of create this life that we want to live, we can go wherever we want.
And we can do whatever we want.
We can
and
go to California and visit our friends we wanted to see for a long time. And in that place, I'm sorry. I'm just excited because I just see at these moments where some of us are really afraid to travel, others are not as much, and being close to the ocean would be freaking incredible right now. So there's so many possibilities. While I wanted to kind of like protect and hunker down for a while, that was actually really detrimental to my mental health, and it's been really it's kept me from making the sales when I've wanted to. It's kept me from just really creating the life that I've wanted to live. And I know there's millions of people in that position, and I just want to be a light. I want to have fun, and I want to encourage people and be the crazy me that I am in all the different ways with this crazy woman right here.
Which means I get to have more fun because you know what? Life is an adventure. And here's the question of the day. Whose expectations are you living up to or trying to live up to?
Santa Claus?
Right, exactly. Like so many times we hold ourselves back, we put ourselves in boxes, we try to conform to what we think we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened to me when I turned 40, like a year and a half ago. And I was all pissed off. I was like, this is not what I expected my life to look like at 40 years old. Like
a show, that's what's up.
Hey, Trey, we are having fun and on a roll. How are you doing? Beautiful, beautiful man. It was like, whose expectations are we really, really living up to? Like, what do we actually want? Like, why are we trying to conform to something that doesn't even sound right or sound fun. Like, what are we doing here, really?
Yeah.
And I ended up going to the park yesterday, and I talked to this gal, and we were just having this great conversation, and I was just in such a good place, and I have been in a good place for a long time, like really working through things. But I was like, life's an adventure. Like, why she was so like loving our lifestyle. And I was like, I'm not even living up to our lifestyle. Like, I want more adventure. I want more fun. I want more play. I want just to have a great time. And there's so many things that I want to do while our kids are still kids.
Yeah.
And it was like, let's just see if we can figure out where these loopholes are. I ended up Reed went to bed last night. I ended up talking to our 3 middles. So we have 5 kids, but there's 3 in the middle. And the 3 of us just sat in the girls' bedroom and just had this great conversation. And they were just like, yeah, we just want to have fun too. And it was like, then all I had to do was wait for Reed to wake up this morning and be like, hey, guess what? We want to just do whatever the hell we want to do. And we want to have fun and make more friends, because that was actually why we moved to Vegas, right?
We did.
We moved to Vegas in January, one, for our son's health. We can't be in the South. We can't be in Texas because of the environment there. But like, we have the entire Western coast. And it was like, we just want to like get out, meet people, build our network. Like, we love just entertaining, having fun. And we do that everywhere we go. We just like people's, like, it's fun. I love making people smile.
Fires.
Right. And it's fun to just meet random people. And then in 5 minutes, give them this crazy, awesome burst of greatness.
Right.
So what, I don't know how much you're wanting to say. Like, what are you?
How much am I wanting to say?
Because I was doing an interview while he was like, this is what we're going to talk about.
I was thinking about how everything is shifting. And since the show is called Just to Look at It, let's just look at a few things that have changed where even though we have to wear masks in a lot of places, some places they just don't really pay attention to that stuff. But I just see how it's causing for all kinds of really incredible innovation. Like, we were talking to our oldest daughter yesterday, and she's making masks. And
it's the coolest thing. We're helping our oldest daughter with
they had this incredible idea together. And it was that all these businesses have these issues where people either come in without a mask because they're like, oops, I don't have a mask, or they don't really have, all these masks look weird or something.
Well, the problem,
and they come in.
The problem with her masks, like for work, because she's also an assistant manager at 19 of a pizza place. I'm really proud of her for that. The masks are not cotton, and they stink, they smell like plastic, and they're branded, and it's part of her uniform, but it was like no one wears them because they can't breathe right at all. And it's like wearing a mask, it's okay to conform. It's okay to just say, yeah, we're going to do this. But if it's so uncomfortable that you're not functioning properly. So she actually ordered cotton masks and then invested in herself and bought an entire vinyl setup so that she can do the vinyl cutouts and the presses and all of the awesome stuff. And so we literally just laid out her business plan, and it was so much fun because there really is a lot of opportunity. Even if you aren't in the 1% that is quadrupling their money, there's still a massive amount of opportunity when the world shifts. And it's about being fluid. It's about being water and really just rising to meet whatever comes at you. And then knowing your goal. For us, it has always been about truly serving people, truly having joy, truly just being free and not living up to anyone's expectations except our own. Because really, as long as I am serving my family and my clients to the highest level that I possibly can within me, then I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so anything beyond that just is kind of irrelevant. Oh, when I turned 40, whose expectations am I living up to? So I was like, okay, I'm 40 and my life isn't anything like how I turned out, how I envisioned it. And then I was like, what vision did I actually have of life? Like I realized at 40 years old that I had never actually intentionally planned my life. I had never really said, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. Because I hadn't done that, I was just kind of given whatever. And I was at the whims of the universe mm-hmm. and circumstance and whatever went down. And so when I turned 40 a year and a half ago, I was just like, I'm going to actually design my life, decide what I want to do, decide the lifestyle that I want. And since then, we've been building it. And that is just, to me, the fun. Like if your life isn't the way you planned, mm-hmm. and then you realize you didn't really plan, like don't beat yourself up over that. Like that's really, really common. There's a lot of us who have done it. But when that happens, just like pause for a while. Like we paused for 6 months and just said, okay, what do we really want? What does this really look like? Internal GPS to awesomeness. Yeah, exactly, Dan. That is it.
Yeah.
And we really,
the solidarity is inside of us.
Right. Yeah. And so figuring out what we wanted was so powerful because really, we just wanted freedom to have adventure and to travel and to have stability for our family and to serve clients in a way that really helps them and really helps us because that's what a business is. It's a value exchange. And so when we serve our clients to the highest level that we possibly can, and then we get paid for it, that's a value exchange that is really powerful. That's what a business is. Yeah. And so being able to step into that and say, I know my value and I know what I'm worth, and then to continue to just adapt and grow and then live with the wobble of life. It's so much fun. It's so freeing.
Yeah. And I was actually starting to feel less freed. And I was like, okay, I'm planning the life I want. But then I started realizing, am I really planning the life I want? Because when I looked at travel, I was going, why am I afraid to travel? And I really had to look at it and go, here I am trying to plan on just like moving to Colorado and just like getting away from people. And it's like, I want to move to a community, but I don't even know what this community is. Like, I don't know what any community is until I actually visit there. So why not actually create a life of being around people wherever the people are, and if they're not there, then let's go to the next city. Let's go to the next town until we find more people. And there was this process that happened in my brain where it was like, oh my God, like I could just start collecting my people. This world has really changed. Like we could do that before, but now that happens quite quickly because
it's more intentional.
It's about how you align with one another. Like we're all more intentional about who we align with. And I realized I'm really intentional like online, but I haven't been getting out and seeing people. I haven't really been around people. And I started to kind of like in Las Vegas, people aren't as friendly as in most cities in the US, or most cities I've been in. And so it's like the way people like greet each other is like by looking at each other like, oh, I got eye contact with that person. That was amazing. And so like with masks on and then eye contact is the number one thing. And then people aren't getting eye contact with you. I started to feel kind of depressed by going out. And it was like, if that's the only time I'm like being in public and I love to be a social person, this isn't right. So I'm rectifying in my mind by going, I'll go where the people are. I'll go where the people are talking. And if I don't like it, I'll move to the next place. We'll have an adventure until eventually it's like being in the right place where I've collected the people and I've really I've lived in the freedom that I want to live in for my family and for myself. Then we can find the place we want to live. Like if you don't want to live here, go to the next place.
Right.
And then there are some will work out.
Right. And there are some places that we know we don't want to live, but we have friends there and we want to visit, like LA.
Yeah.
Like we lived in LA, we have friends there, we love people there, we love the beaches, but I don't like earthquakes. and I am prone to natural disasters.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. You avoid
Right.
any place that has anything that looks even remotely
Because
like a natural disaster.
I have, in my childhood, I experienced volcanoes in the Northwest, and then earthquakes, and then tornadoes in my childhood in Oklahoma, and then a hurricane. And I was just like, yeah, no, you know what? We are intentionally creating the tribe. Absolutely, damn, we are. And it was just like, I don't want to go live in LA because San Andreas and all the other fault lines, like I just can't, I can't live there, but I really need to go spend some time. Yeah. So when I was talking to the kids last night, I hadn't even really thought about it, but we need to move out of the house that we're in, and we're ready to move. And we're just like, okay, so what's next? Where are we going to go next? Like, and we have been in Vegas for the last 6 houses. And but as I was talking to the 3 kids last night, they were like, we were happiest because we were in an RV, then we were in hotels, and we always rent suites, like the 2-bedroom suites, because there's 6 of us. Yeah. And it's actually quite comfortable. Because it's the only place we fit. Right. That's the only rooms that you can get for 3 people. Can we have your largest, or for 6 people is a 2-bedroom suite. So we lived in hotels for a while, and then we moved to Vegas, and we're in a hotel for a few days, and then we moved into Airbnbs. And the Airbnbs are fun, but then you have the responsibility of the whole house, and you don't have, Airbnbs do come with problems. Like every owner has their own issues. Things are broken. They aren't maintained right. At least everyone we've been in. And I've we haven't been in the cheapest one. So it's like we're in the comfortable 4-bedroom houses, and there's still all kinds of stuff that's broken. Yeah, a lot that's broken. And then the neighborhoods aren't always right. And the kids were like, we had the most fun in the hotels because you get the resort swimming pools, you get the workout facilities, you get the business centers, which are great for us and for Wi-Fi. They're so quiet. And they're really quiet. And then you also are kind of pushed outside of the hotel room to go to parks and to go play and to go do other stuff. To go to coffee shops or to go visit people, to be with people. And so it dawned on me last night, they were like, why can't we just move back into hotels? And I was like, Dad doesn't want to. And then I was just like, okay, we're going to figure this out. And Reed was already asleep, and I stayed up way too late, looking at different hotel chains all over. And I was like, this is going to be so much fun if I could just like convince Reed. And you know what? It didn't even take convincing. You woke up telling me about it. Literally, my eyes had been open for like 2 minutes, and we were snuggling, and she goes, lays out the entire, like, she gives me a synopsis in a very short, this is what Jess is good at. Laying in bed, barely waking up. I can see you at 60 years old just being like, I want to be an attorney. Just because. So, in fact, that's what you started to go to school for. That was the journey. Until I swept me off. I wrecked it. Right? I wrecked it. No, you swept me off my feet. I swept you off your feet, and it was. We lived this crazy life together, but she just started talking to me, whispering sweet awesomeness in my ear about how it could be. And I was like, wow, how did I get here where I'm feeling so afraid when I don't feel like I'm naturally like afraid of adventure. That's like throughout my teenage years, that was my way of escaping, was just like, like visit places. And I had my own vehicle at 16. And so I would just like, I'd go hang out with people in random places, or I'd just go hike up a mountain. Right. We talk to all the random strangers. That's what we do. We have always talked to random strangers. I actually didn't as much younger in life. Oh. I'd say hi and I'd be friendly, but I was actually kind of antisocial. Maybe it's just me. It actually, your influence, you brought out my crazy, you brought out my entertainer, and then there was a lot of there was a lot of dysfunction that I had that kept me from actually being as social as I am now. I would never have gotten in front of the camera 10 years ago. Like I just
when I got on stage, it was just like everything had to be scripted for me to even get through it.
So what happened this morning?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
So what happened this morning was I was like, oh, like, okay, I'm just going to tell you, I've been chanting lately. I've been chanting, and not because I'm religious, but because a friend of ours who has been our mastermind and a client, she goes, chanting is not religious necessarily. And I said, explain. And she goes, it's cause and effect. And I'm like, okay, I can agree with that, cause and effect. And I started chanting and realizing that everything, I've already believed this, that energy is whatever you put into something, you can get a result from, right? Or you can get an opposite effect, depending on what it is. And so I started chanting and realizing that my mind would just expand and open to new ideas when I allowed myself to accept all of me, instead of just accepting like if I'm feeling fearful here, why am I feeling fearful? And before it was like, oh, I got to get to the root of it and this stuff. When I chant, I just immediately just go straight through it. I can figure out what happened on the backside and it's fine. But if I can get that energy flowing and the resonance inside my chest, I've been a singer my entire life. I was singing since before I could talk. At least that's what everybody told me. And so this resonance is just getting me to really expand, break down barriers of fear, any frustration, trauma that is getting in my way.
Right.
And just really focus.
The present.
It's for the present. It's for realizing your future, removing your past from your expectations of who you are and where you're going. So it's really just like having no boundaries within yourself, but just accepting and believing all of you is the way it is on purpose.
Right. Yes.
Like it's all designed that way. It's all okay. It's okay to just be. And in that, I'm just like, oh, let's go anywhere.
Right.
Let's go
do
anywhere.
It.
I can think of some great places I'd like to go. I can think of some friends that I'd like to visit. I want to encourage people. I'm not really afraid. I've built my immune system in the most traumatic times. Like, and I can share that with people. You know, I can really share how to keep yourself safe, yourself safe and healthy no matter where you go.
Right.
It's exciting to me.
Absolutely. And for me, when it comes to things like masks and fear and people being scared about those things, it's like we really can be courteous and kind and respectful of people's viewpoints, and yet still just have the confidence that we are living to the best of our abilities, because honestly, this isn't going away anytime soon. And we're probably going to be wearing masks and being isolated for a long time. And what's a long time? Like sometimes a long time feels like a day. Sometimes a long time is years. But any way you look at it, we as humans are designed to be interdependent. And we need community. We need people around us. And that was why we moved to Vegas, so that we could really meet people and be in a city, and we could gig and do the fun things that we love to do. But then when the lockdown happened, it was like, well, everything's changed here, and the meetups aren't happening, like the groups aren't happening in the same way. And so really, there's been so many things that have played into it, but I want to come back to the chanting because it's been really fun. So I'm going to tell you, I didn't know I was going to share this. I actually wrote this a couple days ago, and I was really looking at spiritual abuse. And this is just look at it. So I'm going to just jump right into it for a second.
We look at everything.
But for me, as a Christian, I spent 10 years as a non-denominational born-again Christian. And I led thousands of people to Christ. And then as I went through the anti-trafficking movement and really started helping people, I ended up writing the book, Everything I Know I Learned from My Pimp, and it's Surviving Trafficking and the Anti-Trafficking Movement. The movement actually really exposed a lot of spiritual abuse And then because I had access to, the most godly leaders in the country, because of my position, I asked really deep theological questions and ended up deconverting. And I am not angry at people. I am angry at a system that is so shame-based.
Mhm.
And so I ended up writing down my deepest fear. And it was that I have spent my entire life afraid of myself and my power. And I held myself back out of fear of being idolized and leading people into more hurt. Because that was what the system of Christianity and the sect that we were in was very, very shame-based. And one of my closest friends, it's actually one of the chapters in my book, ended up committing suicide over the shame-based systems of Christianity.
For being gay.
For being gay.
Yeah.
And I just had so much pain over leading people into a system that it ultimately has the potential to either really help someone or really bring an excruciating amount of pain. And I was just like, I am never doing religion again, ever, 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 ever. And I quit praying. And for 5 years, I quit praying. And yet prayer was my deepest connection to myself, my universe, God, in whatever I saw it. And I didn't know how to handle those things because of these fears. And as Melinda, our amazing client and friend, has just talked to us honestly about Buddhism, I'm just going to call it out, and different types of Buddhism. And there's lots of different types. And she was just like, you've got to look at this one specific type because it's not a religion in much as it's a philosophy. And she was like really kind of hesitant to say that. And I was like, no, that's it. Because this specific, it comes from Japan, and it's based on, it has nothing to do with our origins of life, where we came from, where the origins came from, or it has nothing to do with where we're going. It's only about the here and now and the cause and effect. And that is something that I have known is a universal truth, because it doesn't matter if it's do unto others as done unto you, or the golden rule, or karma, or cause and effect. It's all the same thing. What you put out comes back.
Yeah.
What you put out comes back. You put out icky, icky comes back. You put out good, good comes back. And then it's the mindset in it. So when we started chanting, honestly, the craziest thing that's ever happened to me happened. And all you chant is, in English, it's devotion to the law of cause and effect.
Yeah.
When we started doing this, all of my anxiety has always come from my chest. And like, I feel it. I don't want to whack my chest because that's where my mic is, but it always has started right here. And that, when we started chanting, my chest changed. Like the pain was gone. And I was just like, because there's healing in sound. And sound is so powerful. And it was the vibrations of the sound, the rhythm, and just cleansing my brain and mind. Man, it has made such a big difference. But it's not like something you convert into or don't. Like, I'm just on a journey. And it's not like there's no converting people in my mind. Like, there's no, all the pressure and the things that came from Christianity, like, they just don't have to be there. And that's totally okay. And so for me, just talking about it is really a huge step. But what was the biggest step was this, that I spent my entire life afraid of myself and my own power. And how horrible is that to live within? That I hated feeling strong and then forcing myself to be smaller. And yet when I released that, it set so many things free.
One of my fears had, it was very deep rooted, but it was letting people down. And it's because it's like, I can look back and go, look how I let people down. But when I chant, it's like I'm really focused on really what I'm responsible for. What can I affect? And it really it's helped me just really focus on sure, like I've been this way or I've been that way, but ultimately I get to choose every single moment of every single day how I want to be.
Yeah.
And it's really, really exciting. Dan, he has been, you've been teaching me breathing techniques, Dan, if you're still watching. Really exciting. Dan is incredible at really just physiology, really just understanding the human body. And 45 years old, like just beautiful skin, just really knows how to take care of himself and be at peace with himself. And those breathing techniques have really helped me a lot too. And so thank you if you're still watching. That has been awesome.
It's awesome.
But I noticed that if I breathe and chant, it's really, really powerful because I'm using resonance, and then I'm using my breath to really like release and receive. And
so it has been really a wild adventure, and really that I don't know exactly what's going to happen next. And isn't that what an adventure is not planning every detail and not knowing absolutely how it's going to go down. But I'm excited because I get to see friends that I haven't seen in many years, and I get to do things that I've wanted to do. And there's an entire world out there of adventure and awesome people and tribes. And I loved what Dan said. We are intentionally creating the tribe. Absolutely. And that's really it, that there's so much more to life. There's so much abundance. There's so much joy. There's so much freedom. And there's no one exact right way to do it. And goes back to how I started, like, whose expectations are you living up to? What are you really holding on to? And for me, it wasn't the expectations of anyone else. It was my own expectations about what I thought my life was supposed to look like. And when I let go of those expectations of what does it mean to be 41? What does that look like? What should I have achieved by now? What should I have done by this point in my life? When I let go of all of that and just said, you know what, I'm going to live in the here and now. I'm going to just keep doing what I want to do. And as long as my husband, my kids, and my clients are like on the journey with us, they're satisfied, they're happy, I'm happy, let's just roll. And I quite like living in resorts because, you know what, they have the best pools and they have the best Wi-Fi too.
Yes, they do. Just plug it in.
Right. You just plug that sucker in and roll.
I'm excited because I feel like I've gained some power, some personal power, because I hear of all the bad things, and it's so easy to focus on all the bad things. Man, open Twitter. Holy shit balls of cornflakes. Twitter is it's a masterpiece of chaos. And like it's a Picasso. And if you want to just like get yourself worked up, just go look at Twitter.
Right. Because chaos is everywhere right now.
And while I don't even like dive into the details of things, I just look at the headlines, and that's enough to scare the shit out of me. So I just look at the headlines. That's enough. And I realize that there's all these loopholes. So what's the loophole that you can find during this weird time? It's going to always be weird. It's that we just haven't adjusted to the weird. Maybe the masks will come off. They will come off eventually. But when that happens, it's still going to be different. We're still going to be more cautious. We're still going to do things differently.
Right.
What is the loophole that you can find in your life that makes you happy, that helps you find freedom right where you are? Maybe more freedom in the grocery store, or more freedom to just like hike or change your lifestyle like we're about to.
Again, because it's fun. And honestly, I had to move into Airbnbs to see what the lifestyle was like. But I just don't even want a house until I have the right house that we can entertain in.
Invite people
to. And really that's, I just need a really big house so that I can entertain. And in the meantime, I can just go to where the people are and live that adventure and have fun, because I'm telling you, resort swimming pools are the best. And like whatever house we buy is never going to have the same swimming pool.
This is true.
Like that a resort has. And same with the gym. Like the gyms that are in resorts and hotels, they're freaking epic. Like you have everything and you can get all of it done at once.
It's like
I also even love laundry mats. You want to know why I like laundry mats? Because you can get an entire week's worth of laundry done in 2 hours. I have always loved laundry mats over doing constant, never-ending laundry. And you know what else? You don't have to change your sheets. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Someone else does all of your linens. And
so laundry's easy. It gets done
Right.
quick. You can show up in your bathing suit like, oh, I'm out of clothes. So what?
oh, one of the resorts that we stayed in, it was amazing because the bathtub was big enough that we could have put 4 of us in there.
Yeah, it was
And
huge.
it was so epic because I was like, this is our life.
Right.
Then I don't know, houses are cool and all, but they're kind of overrated too.
Yeah.
But compared to an RV, a hotel is fun and easy. And really, you have so many less responsibilities
Yeah.
and just tons of freedom. And you get to play more basketball.
Yes. Hopping back into basketball and, I got to go whip up on the old men.
I think you are the old men.
I always play with people older than me. I don't know. Or they're way younger.
I'm just so excited.
Yeah,
So guys,
anyway,
we have
you're
gone
incredible.
over and we're late. Like today is just a weird day, but you know what? It's okay because life's an adventure
Yes.
and we did it and we had fun and I hope
Yes.
you guys had fun. And you know what? That is my question of the day was whose expectations are you trying to live up to? You had a great question of the day too.
How are you going to find your personal freedom during this time?
Yep.
How are you going to make this enjoyable
Yep.
regardless of what's going on?
And then like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, just love you guys.
Love
We
you
will see you
guys.
tomorrow.
Yep, 8 a.m. We'll see you then.